Hello everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. Today I want to share with you guys on something very important. I've been showing how to create custom forms in Wix, but when you create a custom form, the data that you get, it just gets storage in the collections. But what if you need that information to come to your email, right? So you get notifications of data being submitted using an automation, but you never get like the actual data that was filled out on that specific custom form. Now, if you're using the regular forms from Wix, you will get that. But if you created a custom form using, custom inputs, and you're trying to get all the data that was submitted, then you have to use a little bit of code. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. And I'm going to use regular Wix. It can be done on either one. And I'm going to show you how to get everything to the platform. In this case, I'm going all the way from the beginning because Wix did a lot of updates. So I want to make sure it's the most recent video. So I'm not using one of the current templates that I already have. Most of the times for me is I don't use any of these tools available here because we usually build our websites from scratch. So I just tend to go to the skip button at the bottom, sorry. So we're gonna keep going. I don't even type the name there, but you should skip. And once we're here, you have the three options. I always say that I don't recommend ADI just because it's the most basic way of building a website. Editor X is really good if you're looking for responsiveness when you go from a big screen to a smaller screen. Now you also need to consider that it takes longer times to build. It has so many tools that also are not available there yet. So if you're just going with something secure and you want to have more control, then just use the classic editor. And as you learn how to use a platform, you can always go back to Editor X later. So we're gonna use a blank template, and then we're just gonna go here and we're gonna click try it. Once we're here, the first thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be creating a collection name registration. Now you can name it anything you like, but the reason why I name it registration is because for this sample I'm gonna create a form, something like a registration for, I don't know, some type of event, or it can be used for anything. Most of the fields that I'm gonna be using are gonna be something that you most likely will use. And if you don't need them, you can just remove them. So once you're here, the first thing you want to do is make sure you turn the developer mode on to be able to access the custom inputs or fields for the form. So we're going to go to turn on developer mode. If your developer mode is already on, just skip this step. Once you see this tool, you can just minimize this and minimize this other screen. Then we're gonna go on the plus button, and now you're gonna be able to see this option name input. Again, if your developer mode is off, you're not gonna be able to see this. So once we're here, all we have to do is just add our field. And many times what I like to do is just duplicate. But if you tend to duplicate, you gotta remember to always make sure that the type of item that you're adding is the correct one. For all this sample, we're gonna be using mostly text. So the first one is gonna be full name, and then the second one we're gonna name it email. It's gonna be email, and then the third one is gonna be phone number. So we're gonna duplicate this. And I know I mentioned in the beginning we're gonna create the collection first, but I feel like I'm gonna create the form first so that way I know what fields I need on my collection. So it'll make it much easier. So let me make sure. Type full name, email. This one is gonna be phone number. And then the second one is gonna be age. And then we're just gonna do age. And then the third one is gonna be date. Now for date, I'm not gonna duplicate this because I wanna be able to select a date and time or anything. So we're gonna go here back to input, and then we're gonna go to date and time. The one that we're gonna use is this one. And once you have it here, this will allow you to select a date. Now, one thing to know that's important, and I don't want to forget this time, is once you're here, right, you want to make sure you click where it says calendar, and you can also show past dates. If let's say you're doing a birthday, right, so you could use this to select your birthday, for example. So you want to be able to select this, because sometimes I don't know how the system works, but I have times where it didn't work. Couldn't go on a past date, and it was because this thing was off. So just make sure if yours is you need to go on past date, then you're gonna do this. Now, if you don't want them to go on a past date, then you can turn this off and then only allow this. Same thing if you want them to only be able to do like birthdays, so that means they cannot go further in, you know, in the future, then you can turn this one off and just leave that one. In this case, it doesn't matter, so we're just gonna leave both on. And then right here, we can just leave it like that. So we can also put in name here, date attending. Okay, so we're just gonna leave it like that. And the design, make sure that you make everything match, right? So we want to make sure we do everything the right way. Now for this example, because I'm mainly showing you the functionality, I'm not gonna be going into the design on how to adjust the text, but just know that you can do it right here, and you can either change a different box, customize it, change the text, change the colors, and all those things. So now that we have that, we're also gonna need an address. So we can just duplicate this one for the address, and we're gonna do address. And then we have that right there. And lastly, we're gonna do a boolean, which is gonna be just a selection like this. So now we're gonna do this one, which is, I believe, boolean or something like that. And then we're just gonna keep it as not required, and then we can do like I will pay at entrance. Okay, and then we're just gonna add a button, and this button is gonna be for submit, like that, and that's it. So we have our form now. Now the time has come to create the collection. So the first thing we're gonna do is, again, make sure your developer mode is on. You want to go onto the content manager, and then collections, and then create a new collection. Right here we're gonna click get started, and this one we're gonna name it registration. Now this collection will storage all the information from this specific form. If you already have a collection, you're gonna have to change it in the code. But again, if you don't have it and it's a brand new form, then just make sure you can name it according to the code, or you can change the code according to your collection, and I'll show you how to do that. So once we do this part, we're gonna click create. Now what's the difference today compared to how it was before, right? Is the new update doesn't show the settings for permissions. So first you have to create a collection, and then you can come back and change permissions. So we're gonna create a collection, right? So once you do that, before I even do anything here, it's gonna ask you to, if you wanna make this site live, please publish. But we're gonna go back to the registration because I wanna show this. I think this is very important to know on the new update. Once you have created the collection, now you're gonna be able to come and see the permissions and privacy. And for the most part, this is how it's gonna be automatically laid out. So you can always come back here and change it. Depends on who is going to be using the form, because in this case, right, it says who can view the content. In this case, we're not displaying this content anywhere else, so we can just leave it as anyone. But if you were using like some type of profile where you create a custom members area or something a little bit more advanced like that, and you need to somebody submit data and be able to display on the same website, then definitely you need to know who is going to be able to see this. Now on admin, right, who can add content, in this case we want to keep it as anyone, because this is going to be a public form, so we want to be able to have anyone submit data to this collection. And then who can delete it, in this case we're just going to leave it as admin because we're the ones controlling the form. And then who can update the form also doesn't matter here. So once you do that, you can just click save. Now we can go inside the collection, and you're gonna see that by default you already have the title field right here, so just ignore that or you can reuse it. This is, we're just gonna add a new text. Same thing, this is something from the new update. Before you could just start typing and it will automatically unless you do a drop down, you'll select. So I feel like this is much easier. But if it looks different to you, is because this is the new version compared to how it was before. This one we're just gonna do full name, and we don't have to do anything. The field key is already there, so you don't even have to touch anything here. Now once you create the field once and later you come back and change it, the field name, the field key will always stay the same. So just keep that in mind. And then we're gonna keep save. Then we're gonna go to the next one. It's also text, and this is gonna be email. Save. And then the third one we're gonna do text, and this is gonna be phone number. And then we're gonna click save. And then the last part right here, we're gonna do text, and it's gonna be age. And then we're gonna add a date. So that's when it's gonna change. So as you can see, this one is text, 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 and then this one is gonna be date. And then right here, we can just leave it as date, unless you wanna name it something else. Save. We can close this, we don't need it. And then we're gonna go back to adding address. So we can just leave it as text and do address, and then save. And next we're gonna add payment method, right? So on this one we're gonna do Boolean, and this is gonna be payment method, and then method. Okay, so save, and then that's it. So now we have a registration. We're gonna now create another collection, and this collection is gonna be named site users. Okay, so why we're gonna need that? Because again, this is gonna help us do part of the code to tell the system what is gonna happen with that data, where is it gonna be sent, and all that stuff. So once we do this, we're gonna create a new collection, and this one is gonna be named site users. So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna do site users, and then just create. Same thing, once you create it, you can just close this for now. And then right here, we're gonna go under settings, permissions, and privacy. So we're gonna keep this one as anyone, because anybody can see the form. Who can add the content? We can leave it as also anyone, or you can leave it as a site member if somebody's gonna sign up. And then this one, we can just leave it as admin. And this one also, we can keep it as either site member. So somebody coming to the site. This one too, let's just keep it like that so it matches, and then save. Okay, so once we have the site users collection, we just wanna go inside the collection and just add a new text, and this is gonna be named user ID. And then that's it, and then just click save. And then this one is gonna help us add a specific ID, and I'm gonna show you how you're gonna find it. So once we do this, we're almost there, guys. So thank you for being so patient. So now we're gonna add the code, okay? So this code is gonna be very straightforward, very easy. There's nothing crazy about it, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how it was added or created. All you have to do is just literally copy and paste this code. You have access to the code in my website, so you can just go in the comment, and then once you do this, just go into the date, and I'm gonna name it notifications. So make sure to go there, download the code. If you have issues downloading the code, let me know, send me a message. I usually upload it as a PDF file, so just that way you can just copy it and open it on any computer. Now, going back to the code, as you can see here, it's gonna give you first an error. That's mostly the only error you're gonna get because we're gonna need to add a data set. Each of these items, we're still gonna connect them to the data set, and the items that you don't need, you can always remove. So for example, let's say you don't need address, you can just select this and then you can just delete it. Now, let's say you need a completely different field. All you have to do is just replace this item with a specific item right here. So let me show you. So when you go to collections, right, you have what's called the field key. So the field key has to match exactly what you have on the code. So again, you can add a different item. You can just copy and paste. So the only thing that you might have to replace is this one, right? So if you have, I don't know, not an email, but let's say you have something like location instead of address, things like that. So the key has to match, the key field has to match exactly what you have in your collection. If it doesn't match, it's because that is going to give you an error. So make sure you do that. Second thing is the collection name right here. This exactly is it has to be the name on the data set that we're gonna add, and then this code right here we have to replace. So before I confuse you more, let's add the data set, and that way we can go in parts. Okay, so we're gonna go here in the content manager, and then we're gonna go to add content elements, and then we're gonna add a data set. Now, when you add a data set, this is a common error that a lot of the times happen. People say, hey, I don't know why my input field is gray. I can't type. Sometimes if you created a dynamic page and it added automatically the data set for you, you might have encountered this problem. But if that's not the case, just add a new data set and test it again. But the main other issue is once you connect your data set, make sure that if this is a form, it has to say write only, unless you're trying to display two items like that they're able to write something and also save, then you're gonna do write and read. But in this case, because it's only a form, it has to be write only. So we're gonna connect everything. So this is gonna be full name, and then the next item is gonna be email, and then the third item is gonna be a phone number, and then this one is gonna be age, and then this is gonna be an address, and then this one is gonna be a date, and this is gonna be another item, which is gonna be the payment method. And one thing that you gotta make sure here is, if you see here it says value, if you don't add a value here, whenever you get a notification, which is gonna look something like this, so I have one that I already did. So whenever you get the notification, it's only gonna show true. So to make sure this doesn't happen to you, right, this is what it's gonna look on your end. You gotta make sure that you put a value here. So you can name it whatever the value is gonna be. I will pay at entrance. And then we're just gonna click that. and then submit. We're gonna click submit right here, added success and failure message. And usually I put the success on top of the button so it's easy for them to see, but this is total preference. Now another thing a lot of people tend to do is they can put this on top of each other, because anyways if there is an error, it's only gonna show the error, so you can read it. If it's successful, it's not gonna show the error. So to save space, you can always put these ones on top, but this is not always the case. So you can do this, or again you can just leave it down here. So now we have all of that connected. What's the next step we mentioned is we're gonna rename this dataset 1 to register dataset. We're gonna copy this, and then we're gonna select this, and we're gonna name it register dataset. And then once you click on your dataset, you're gonna go on here where it says a handler, event handler. So we're gonna select on after save. Make sure you delete the number 1, so just one that right there, and then click add, and now it's added. So pretty much we're almost close on what is going to happen. There's still a big step that we need to do, but on this part we're pretty much completed. So we're gonna minimize that. We have what we need. Now there's an ID that we're gonna need, which is gonna be this right here. So this code right here is what we're gonna need from the back end of the website, and then this ID is gonna be created once we sign up on the page, and I'm gonna show you also how to get that information. So first we're gonna go here and we're gonna publish actually. So we're gonna publish this. And now we can go here on our settings, actually on site, and we're gonna go to my dashboard. Gonna close that. Okay. So we have our dashboard right here for this specific form that we just created, right? Then you wanna go where it says developer tools, and you're gonna go where it says triggered emails. Once you're here, this is where we're gonna create our form. So that way, whenever we get the notification, it's gonna look something like that. So that way, on your custom form, you can receive the data, and it's gonna look something like this, instead of you having to go into the collection and look up who submitted what information. So this is very, very helpful, because as you start creating websites, this is gonna be a very big concern if you start creating custom forms, and then let's say your client or even yourself, if it's your website, don't want to go into the content manager and see who submitted what information, right? So instead of going here and trying to read, okay, who submitted this information, you're gonna be getting it directly into your email. So that's very, very awesome. So we're gonna click get started, and then right here we're gonna delete this because we don't need it. So we can just delete that. Actually, we might use it, but we'll add it later. You can also delete this. We don't need that. And we also don't need this stuff right here. Oh, okay, so we don't need this. And can hide that right there. We don't need that either. Because again, this is just gonna be a notification with a form, so we're gonna make sure it's just there. So we're gonna add a text, right? So once you add a text here, the first thing we want to name it, right, is full name, because that's part of the information that we need. Let me go move this one right here while we create this. So this is gonna be full name, and then we're just gonna do 2 dots, and then we're gonna click here add variable, and then we can name it full name. And it's telling you keep your variable number under 50 characters. You can use a letter. So just make sure there's no space, and then add, right? So as you can see here, after full name, I had to add it again. Okay. So that way, whenever I get a notification, I know what is this information, because maybe you have so many different fields that you want to make sure you know exactly what you're receiving. And then the next one is going to be age, right? So we're going to do another one. I'm going to do another text. And again, you can always adjust this. And then here is going to be age space, and then add a variable, and then just name it age, and then just add. And then we're going to add another one. Okay. We're going to add another text. And we also want this one all the way at the bottom. Oh, this one we want at the bottom. Okay. And then there it is. So the next one that we need is going to be email. So we just type email space and then add the variable, and this is going to be email, and then just add. So now we have it right there, and then we're going to add another one, which is going to be address. So we're going to add address space, now we're gonna move it all the way to the bottom. There it is, and then space, and then we're gonna add a variable, and it's gonna be address. And then the last one we need is phone number. I'm gonna do phone number. And then variable, it's gonna be phone number, and just add. And you can adjust it as you like. Now, one thing, we might get an error just because the way of the names here, you know, like full name. Here, as you can see, I have full name, capital F and capital N, and my field key might be different. So if that's the case, we might get an error. So we're gonna come back and fix it. Because again, I never try to do something and then record it on time. As I'm doing it, I'm showing you, because you could encounter these issues. So let's go back here. We need the phone number and then payment method. So last one we're gonna add is gonna be payment method, and then we're gonna go here and move it all the way to the bottom, and then we're gonna do space, we're gonna do a variable. And one thing I'm gonna do really quick is I'm gonna make sure there's okay. So payment method, we're gonna do lowercase payment, so that way it matches our field key. So payment method, so lowercase p, capital case M, and then phone number, same thing. Address is all lowercase, email is all lowercase, date, that's the only one we're missing. And then age, full name, here we have to fix this one. If not, it's not gonna work. So it has to be lowercase FL name, and then add again. And then we're gonna do another one, and this is gonna be date, because we're missing date. Oh. Space, add a variable, and this is gonna be date, like that, and then save. So now I can just move this somewhere in here. Okay, like that. This one should be app. So full name, phone number, email. So we can even do this like that. Move this one all the way here. Okay. So again, you can arrange it as you wish, but now we're gonna do save and publish. And then it says before publishing your trigger email, you need to add your sender details. Yeah, add details. So here, this email right here is the one that you want to use to send this specific notification to. So you can just type something like, in this example, we're going to use this email, right? And we're going to click save. Now, once you do this, it's going to send you a code. So make sure you open your email. This is just a junk email that I use for testing purposes. And then we're going to copy this. Just type it right there and confirm. So it's all good. So now we can save and publish. And now once we do this, we're going to copy this email ID. So we're going to copy this, click at it. Now, if for some reason you missed that little window that I just showed you, you can always come back here on trigger emails and you will be able to find it right here. So you're just gonna copy this, go back to your website, you go on this part where the code is, and this little code right here is what you need to replace for that little code that it just gave you. Now, for this to work, we need this ID. Where are you gonna get this ID? So first we're gonna do members in the apps right here. Now this is assuming that you already have a website, right, where they're gonna sign up, and that's why you need this. Now you can just use it to get the code, and then let me publish it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna refresh here. As you saw right there, all I did is I just added the members area. So I went here and I typed members, and then you just want to add the Wix members area. If you're using a custom website build, then you're not going to use this. You're already going to be able to access the login page just by you adding the custom code. So in this case, to simplify, just use the members area if you have a regular website. So once you do that, you should be able to see this button right here. Let me close this really quick, and then I'm gonna refresh this, and I'm gonna just click here, gonna do sign up, and we're gonna do cjbay@gmail.com. We're gonna do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and then sign up. Once I sign up, I'm gonna be able to see this, but all I needed for this is, so when I go back here and I go on the collections, now you're gonna see this name, private members data, to here, and we're gonna go to manage fields, and we're gonna show ID, and this is what we need, this ID right here. So this one is the site owner of the website, and this is the one that we just submitted right now. So this is what we need. So we're just gonna copy this because this is where we wanna send the notifications. So now once we have that, we can go back into our form, and you're gonna see the home right here, and then we just gotta replace this. So once we do that, and click paste, and now we can publish. Now, even if you delete this, it doesn't matter. We can just delete it if we don't need it. It won't matter. And on our site users, we can just paste it right here. And that way we can publish. So now we can see what's going on here. So we're gonna do another test. As you can see right here, there's no information or anything. So I'm gonna name this Bruno's, and then Bruno's gmail.com, and we're gonna do, and then he is 19 Street Avenue. 17, yes, and then submit. So now that the information got submitted, we're gonna make sure it was submitted, going on the registration. So as you can see, the information is there. And then when we go to the site users, as you can see, that's the one that we were using, right? And then once we go here, there you go. Now you got your notification. So once you got your notification, you can see here, shows you the full name, the phone number that we submitted, the email address that we use, age, and then for some reason it still shows payment method as true, but it had to do with the ID, so I need to check that. But at least so far you got most of the information that you need to be able to get that specific notification into your email. So rather than you going and manually going into the collection and changing the content checking the content manager, then this is how you do it. Now the easiest way to avoid all of this, let's say you don't want to go through all of that, you can always go to the actual website. Okay, so we're gonna go here on the actual settings. We're gonna go actually on site and then dashboard. Now this way you won't get all the data that they submitted, but it's gonna let you know that you got a submission, because that's also important to know. So if right now you're like, you know what, I don't have time to do all this stuff, all you have to go is to go to automations, create an automation, start from scratch, and right here you're gonna name this notification Wix data forms, because this is a custom form, and then specific form, and then you're gonna select the one that we selected right now, which we name as submit registration collection, and then apply. And then right here you can set get an email, and then right here you can name it you receive a new registration, and then you can say here please, actually this is what we need to copy. This is the subject and this is the email. So here is gonna be cjbay@gmail.com, and then please check collections, and then click as immediately and activate. So now what's gonna do is it will just send you a notification. So to test it out, we're gonna do something like Bix, and then Bix at gmail.com. Gonna be 123 123, and then here we can do something like 18, and then here we're gonna do street road, and then submit. So what it's gonna do now is you're gonna get a notification, right? So you can see you have received a new notification from the site, which is this one. So it says the message, you receive a new registration, please check your collections. So then you have to manually go into your collection and look up who submitted the registration. But if you do all the steps that I just showed you today, instead of going this route, then you'll get the actual content that was submitted, and it will say something like this. Now this, you can change it. I forgot to change it on the template, but you can always go and adjust as you wish. You can even remove this if you don't need it. But the most important part is that you are getting the actual data submitted to that specific form, so that way you can access it right away from your email. Well, again, thank you for supporting the channel. Sorry if I talk too much, but I tried to be as clear as possible, and I'm trying to get better as we're doing those videos. So please, if you have feedback, you need help, just let me know and I'll be very happy to help you with this. Have a good one.